Alrighty, so today we are going to do the review of match week number 17, or at least the first 8 games, that is, as tomorrow I'm actually only just going to do 4 games in terms of part number 2, because first we have a 13-game match week instead of the usual 14, because the Columbus Crew was involved in the CONCACAF Champions Cup final, and we'll just leave it at that. And then, of course, the one game that I've already reviewed was on Friday between NYCFC versus the San Jose Earthquakes. Again, I'll just leave it at that, especially if you are a Quakes fan like myself. With that being said, let us actually get into the first game. And the first game is DC versus Toronto FC. So there's no doubt there's controversy in this game that a lot of TFC fans are not going to be happy of what happened late in this game. But we'll definitely get to that. And that I would say that this game was kind of almost the opposite of what we usually see for DC this season. Because this season, DC is always a team that is known to unable to get the result because they drop some valuable points because of giving up goals in the second half. Well, in this game, they actually come from behind and salvage a draw in this one. And it didn't start off well for them because just 88 seconds into this game, Derek Etienne Jr. scored his first goal for Toronto as he scored from Benedeski to give TFC a 1-0 lead. Kerr would then head it onto the roof of the net. By the way, Insigne did not play in this game, and heading into the next game for TFC, we are once again not going to have Insigne and Benedeski because a little foreshadow, Benedeski would get himself sent off in this game and would get himself sent off in another very dumb ways. But in the 10th minute, the first shot for DC did see Johnson deny Kutipietro from close range. By the way, I mentioned TFC come out strong as they were on the front foot looking to score a second goal in this one. Benteke then hits one right to Johnson before Bono denying her off of a shot that actually took a deflection. So that was actually a good save from Alex Bono. But then in the 33rd minute, he couldn't keep this one out as Benedeski would score the second goal for TFC. He scored from Petretta to make it 2-0 in favor of Toronto. And then Birnbaum on the other end were looking to answer, but the post not in the way before Johnson denied Benedeski on a 1v1. And I thought it was a good response for DC. Again, they could have easily just folded knowing that they're down 2-0 early in this one, but they definitely were looking to try to press one back. But we do head to halftime with TFC leading 2-0. In the second half, Spicer went flat one wide from long range. Not really much chances early in the second half, which I thought that favored Toronto, knowing the fact that you're the road team and you want to keep this game relatively tight and just seize out a 2-0 win. DiPietro then curls it wide from close range, but then in the 79th minute, he would be on target as he scored here to give some life for DC. And yeah, that's one that Johnson. I think he probably could have done better here. He did make the original save, but it just kind of fall right to TKP on the rebound there. So yeah, that gives a lifeline for DC. Bartlett then hits it right to Johnson as DC was pressing hard to try to get the late equalizer. TFC was just kind of started to reeling, just similar to what we see with teams on the road when they gave up a goal to get the home team back in the game. They would just kind of hang on for a bit. And they would be hanging on even more after the 87th minute as Benedeski would get himself his second yellow card of the game. And again, so far this season, Benedeski, and part of the season he still has these very dumb moments where he just gets sent off for a second yellow card for some very dumb situation. And here, kick ball away. You just simply cannot do that. Not only to delay a off, but also when you're already on a yellow card, because yeah, that's always going to be an automatic yellow card. And yeah, as a result, it's a second yellow. I even wrote why too, and I think that's kind of the question every TFC fans are asking too, because again, just as good as Benedeski has had in terms of the goal scoring department, this is something he's going to have to cut things out if he doesn't frustrate a lot of TFC fans of some of the antics that he's done this season and also in the previous season as well. But that being said, in the third minute stoppage time, this is where the controversy was. So a penalty was given to DC after VAR deemed that Gomez brought down Tubbs in the box. Gomez, by the way, already got a yellow card, and he actually got a second yellow as a result. So Toronto was down to 10, or actually, no, they're not down to 10 men. They're down to 9 men. They were down to 10 men in the 87th minute. Now they're down to 9 men heading into stoppage time. And again, yeah, this one is definitely debatable. I mean, I can see why TFC fans will be very upset about this because there was definitely not too much contact in terms of it. And I could also agree that, look back at that, there's been times where I've seen that there has been plays where a player maybe make some contact and basically the opposition fall down and maybe looking for a penalty even from on the either from the on or off the ball situation. I think this was off the ball situation, and yeah, again, I would say that it was a little hard. I feel like that probably shouldn't have been a PK and maybe a second yellow card, but nevertheless, it was given. Click steps up to take the penalty, and he buries it. So that ties the game up to a piece, albeit in a controversial way. Barlett then heads it high in the 6 minute stoppage time, and again, DC, they're not satisfied with just getting a draw. They were pressing to trying to get a late winner, especially they have the two-man advantage. Johnson had to deny Click from long range. There was a lot of stoppage time in this game, so there was no doubt this game was far from over. And yeah, in the end, Toronto, who at one point looked like they were going to get a massive 3 points on the road against DC, they kind of had to hang on the skin of their teeth to earn a draw on this one, as it ends 2-2 in this one. The shots of this one, there was a lot of these games where we had a lot of shots. And this one was one of those. 20 shots compared to 10 that TFC had, 3 shots on compared to 8 that DC had, 3 shots off target compared to 2 that Toronto has, 6 shots that was blocked compared to 6 that Toronto has, and possession-wise, DC had more of the possession, 56% possession compared to the 44% possession that Toronto has in this game. So again, I can understand why TFC fans are upset about this. And if I was a TFC fan, I probably would be upset about that call as well. But I would also say that yeah, again, when you're trying to hold on to dear life and hope that you can get a result, more times or not, when you try to do that, it just does not work when you're the road team, and TFC tried to do so late in this game, and unfortunately just didn't work out. And it also doesn't help the fact that again, Bernadeschi just such a silly second yellow, and now next game once again they're gonna be without Bernadeschi, and we're not gonna have the two Italian connection once again for the next game as well. But that being said, moving on in the next match. We got Miami and St. Louis, and I gotta say, this was definitely an entertaining game. What wasn't it? And I would also say that this is a very Inter Miami kind of type of game, and this is kind of a game that unfortunately for Inter Miami, yeah, I don't know if this is going to be good enough for them to really consider themselves winning the support for ratio, or maybe even go deep into MLS Cup. And I know before Inter Miami fans attack me in the comment section of what I just said, but the biggest issue I've said all season for Inter Miami is the fact that their defense is just horrendous this season, and a lot of that has really been masked because of the high end talent that they have on the attack. But in these last couple of games, it's definitely, especially in these last two games, I would say that yeah, for once, that defense not only real its ugly head, but it's just simply not enough for this high end talent to be able to get all 3 points that like what we have seen at least for a majority part of the season in these last two games. Now early on, Clauswood puts it wide from long range before Rojas hits one right to Berkey. Rojas then missed wide from long range before Vasilev would have a shot that was deflected and goes wide. As I thought both of these teams were getting some good early chances. It was very back and forth in this first half. And in the 15th minute, Durkin gets the first goal of the game. And I just realized I spelled Durkin's name wrong. I have to put the N here. So yeah, Chris Durkin would score an amazing goal here from Pompeo to make it 1-0 in favor of St. Louis. How amazing that was! Well, basically scoring from 30 yards out and just scoring an absolute banger of a goal. And there's a lot of goals this week that is definitely in contention for the goal of the week, and I probably should have wrote that in this, but yeah, for all those people who are voting for that, this is gonna be a tough choice because of all the bangers that will score this week. But yeah, that gives St. Louis a 1-0 lead. Robert Taylor did try to answer for Miami, but it was denied by or no, it was denied by Berkey. That is, but in the 25th minute, you knew this was gonna happen. Messi would score from Alba to tie the game up at one apiece, because it's not a Miami game without seeing Messi scoring or getting on the assist chart. By the way, they mentioned now he has got to 25 goal contribution in his career with Inter Miami and in MLS, and he's only done it in 17 games. That is the quickest out of anybody in MLS history. So yeah, once again, Messi making some more history in MLS. Klaus would then look to respond, but he hits it wide from close, and then Berkey denied Messi after just a bad turnover from St. Louis. Yeah, that's one you don't want to do if you're St. Louis, giving the ball away against this dangerous Inter Miami team. But instead, what they want to do is score a goal to take the lead again, as Indiana Vassilev would score against his former team from Kojima and Klaus to give St. Louis the lead again. Obviously, Vassilev did not celebrate whatsoever, and I respect that because I know he knows that his career isn't where he is if it wasn't for Inter Miami giving him a chance. And I'm pretty sure Inter Miami fans still love Indy Vassilev, especially of the fact that he's kind of labeled as the closer for Inter Miami, knowing he scores so many late heroic goals for Inter Miami, and it's great to see that he is definitely has really made himself have a career with St. Louis right now. But yeah, that gives the lead for St. Louis. The lead does not last long though, because just a couple of minutes later, Luis Suarez would score from Alba and Messi to tie the game up at 2 apiece. I think this is the first time that I've actually seen all three of these former Barcelona player gets on the score sheet and also on the primary and secondary assist chart. Now, I think part of that is because League actually didn't start paying attention to secondary assist chart until recently, but still, it's interesting to see that all three Barcelona players, of course, get involved. I think if they would have added into a third assist chart, I mean, imagine if Busquets is also in that build out. I mean, that is just a peak Barcelona mate goal if that, of course, turns out to be the case. But nevertheless, the game was all tied up at 2 apiece, and that would be the scoreline heading into the second half. In the second half, Vassilev did go for his second, but he was denied by counter. Not much chances really created in the start of the second half, and that's considering the fact that after the first half there was a lot of chances. It started to kind of calm down a little bit, not as much back and forth affair compared to what we saw in the first half. Counter then denied Durkin after a bad turnover that from Miami. Man, Chris Durkin was definitely involved in this game. He's not usually a guy that involved too much on the attack. That being said, in the 68th minute, St. Louis would retake the lead for the third time as Luis Suarez, of course, scores the own goal there. This was a dangerous ball coming from the corner, and you know that Miami this season, what is their biggest weakness this year? Defending corners, and it happened again here. They give up a corner here. It actually last touch off of Suarez there, so that was a little unfortunate. But even then, again, this team just continue to have problem in terms of defending set pieces. That has to change if they want to be considered themselves supporter shield contender or even MLS contender. That is. Then Berkey denied Kamaski from close range before Campana heads it wide from close, and again now it seems like Miami was pressing back for the equalizer, and that's kind of the story we've seen this season. I mean, besides the game against Atlanta, it's almost like there's the script writer is saying anytime when Miami is down, even if they're down by one goal or even multiple goals, they're gonna find ways to come back from the deficit. Adeniran then missed wide from close range in the 85th minute, and that miss not only is going to haunt Adeniran, but it's going to haunt St. Louis because, again, when you play against Miami, you cannot miss these golden opportunity, and that was a golden opportunity there from Sam Adeniran because they were immediately made to pay for missing that chance. As just 1 minute later, Jordi Alba would score from Gresso to tie the game up at 3 apiece. Originally, the goal was disallowed for offside. They go to VAR to check to see if that wasn't the case, and it wasn't. So yeah, the game was all tied up at 3 again. Berkey would then deny Wenger from close range, and the momentum was clearly with Miami right now. And this again, you kind of had a sense that maybe they can score a fourth goal. But this is also where Roman Berkey steps up, and again, this is why Roman Berkey is considered to be one of the best goalkeeper and why he won the goalkeeper of the year last year. And even with the 3 goals that he conceded in this one, yeah, he was really the reason why St. Louis got a draw on this one because St. Louis pretty much were non-existent in terms of their defense, and once again, Berkey makes so many big saves to bail this team out. And well, in the first minute stoppage line, Wingard would miss wide from close range, and then Suarez would hit it right to Berkey in the third minute stoppage time. And yeah, in the end, an entertaining game we saw here in South Florida. It was a free draw between both of these teams. The shots in this one, a lot of shots, 17 shots for the 18 that St. Louis had. Shots on goal, 10 shots on goal compared to 8 that St. Louis has in this game. So yeah, both goalkeepers were definitely busy in this game. 4 shots off target for the 6 that St. Louis had. 4 shots that was blocked for the 3 that Miami has. And possession-wise, 64% possession compared to 36% possession that St. Louis has in this game. So unfortunately for St. Louis, they're back to drawing games, which that's something that I'm pretty sure their fans kind of hate to see because that's now 8 draws that they have suffered this year. Though I will say that it's a little bit better compared to them. We're on a 3 game losing streak, and at least that losing streak has come to an end. But for Inter Miami, again, these last 2 games, it's got to be concerning. The fact that how poor they have been on the defensive end, and again, that's going to be the biggest question I think it's going to continue to ask as the season goes along. Can this high end talent that Inter Miami has can mask the issue on the defensive front? History have said that they can because we've seen many times before, and especially once we get into the playoffs, teams that have leaky defense doesn't usually last too much or too long into the playoffs. And before you tell me, what about Columbus last season? Well, Columbus got better as the season goes along under Wilfried Nancy, especially on the defensive front. Unless if Inter Miami can do the same thing, I mean, again, I do have that concern about the defense of this team and how that could really be the difference if they aren't able to go deep in the playoffs, because again, that's the expectation of this team. This team is definitely have that MLS Cup or bust kind of expectation, and that defense is going to be could be the big result if they do fail that expectation near the end of the season. With that being said, moving on in the next match, we got the Red Bulls and Orlando City. So out of all these entertaining games that we saw this week, this was definitely not one of them. But Red Bulls fan wouldn't care because they got another 3 points in this game against Orlando City. The first shot of the game did see Galese deny Ali from the corner. That was actually the only shot for the first 28 minutes of this game. So if you actually miss these two games, especially miss this game, and you solely watch this one as a neutral, yeah, I mean, I definitely send you some condolences of missing out some really good game itself. But that being said, the next shot would see Frostberg puts it into the stands from the free kick, and then the first shot for Orlando happened in the 30th minute. See Angulo miss high from long range. Little do we know that that would be only one of 4 shots that Orlando City would get in this one, and little do we also know that in the 38th minute, the Red Bulls would take the lead, and that would be the only goal of the game. As John Token, just fresh off of a contract extension a couple of weeks ago, he gives that the Red Bulls fans and certainly the front office the reason why he was extended by scoring a wonderful free kick goal. Though again, this is one that I think Galese probably could have done better. He did get a hand to it, and I think he was a little bit late reacting, maybe because of the wall kind of screening him there, but. Galese this season, it's been a rough season for Pedro Galese. So he has definitely not been the same goalkeeper that he's been when he came to Orlando City. But nevertheless, the Red Bulls were leading 1-0. Neelas did look for a second, but he puts it wide. It was all Red Bulls up to this point. They were pressing for the second goal. We do head to halftime with the Red Bulls leading 1-0. In the second half, I thought Orlando started the second half the better side, but again, most of these chances that they had really were very dangerous for the Red Bulls to deal with, and that kind of sums up the season for Orlando. They just more times or not, they've just not got anything going on the attack. And this, keep in mind, that this include when they got Duncan McGuire back in this team, and as you can probably tell on the board when I didn't mention McGuire's name, yeah, he was pretty much a no-show in this game. But in the 57th minute, Torres would hit one right to Cornell before Galese denied Token, but he did give up a rebound, and Vincier was there to pounce on it, but he couldn't put that one away, and then he missed wide on the half volley in the 63rd minute. And then it only was 2-0 when Manuel put the ball into the back of the net. The problem was there was a foul on the development of play, so the goal, of course, was disallowed. But there was no doubt momentum was with the Red Bulls. But the question is, can they kill this game off? Because, yes, I know Orlando hasn't been in this game, but you need to kill your opponent off eventually. Enrique then puts it over from close range, and then in the 9th minute stoppage time, Galese would deny Morgan as he was in on goal. The good news for Lewis Morgan, at least for Red Bulls fan, that was really kind of the last kick of the game, because in the end, the Red Bulls, they win 1-0 in this one, and the shots in this one, yeah, not really a lot of shots compared to the other games we'll talk about. 13 shots committed, just 4 that Orlando City has. 1 shots on goal for the 4 that the Red Bulls had. 7 shots off target for the 2 that Orlando City has. Both team had 1 shot that was blocked, and possession-wise, 43% possession, 57% possession Orlando City has in this game. So while it wasn't a pretty performance by the Red Bulls, they get the 3 points that they needed against a lowly opponent like Orlando City. That yeah, now it seems like the roll form is starting to be bad, and this is bad news for Orlando City because as I mentioned before, the only reason why they were still at least in within touching distance of the playoff race is because they've been relatively good on the road. Now they're not winning on the road, and when you add to the recipe of not winning on the road and not winning at home, yeah, that's usually a recipe of you destined to finish near the bottom of the standings. And if that is the case, that I mean, between Orlando and New England, those are two teams that you got to say that probably have the most disappointing season so far, consider the expectation that was set for them coming into this season. With that being said, moving on into the last game on this board is Philly and Montreal. So speaking of disappointments, Philly is definitely having that kind of a season, and it doesn't help the fact that in this game where they pretty much dominate Montreal in this game, and they still aren't able to come away with a win. And it also doesn't help the fact that they gave up the goal just 50 seconds into this game, as in the fourth minute, 50 seconds in. Sanusi Ibrahim, all of a sudden, he's scoring a lot of goals for this Montreal side as he scored from Yankov and Juan to make it 1-0 in favor of Montreal. Again, 50 seconds into this game, just a nightmare start for the Union. Uru did look to respond, but he was denied by Breza before Elliott would head it wide from close range. And then McLean looked like he tied the game up at one apiece, but the flag did not agree with him, so the goal was disallowed for offside. The Union was definitely pressing back as they were now looking at trying to get the equalizer. Breza then tipped Gastak shot away before McLean would hit one right to Breza. But then in the 44th minute, this is where there's a bit of a lifeline for the Union because Lassiter would get himself a straight red here. They did go to VAR to see whether or not if Lassiter, when he swung his arms there, was deemed a violent contact. It was. So yeah, automatic red card there. Montreal was down to 10 men. But we do head to halftime with Montreal leading 1-0. In the second half, Union continued to press for the equalizer. Elliott would hit it wide from close before Uru hits it right to Breza. The Union were definitely pressing hard for the equalizer, knowing they have the man advantage. And they have a chance to do so in the 55th minute when a penalty was given to the Union as Breza brought down Gazdag after Breza basically spilled the original save there. So yeah, not a great moment there for Sebastian Breza, and there's a reason why. This is a rare start for him, and there's also a reason why maybe Siwas is going to be back in goal for this Montreal team as soon as next game. But yeah, that's a penalty for the Union. Gastak steps up to take the penalty, and besides that one miss he had a couple weeks ago, he's not going to miss from the spot, and he doesn't here. So he buries it to tie the game up at one apiece. By the way, that's a milestone goal too, because that actually tied Sebastian Latour for the Union all-time goal scorer list, and don't be surprised he's going to pass that list too, and that would be an incredible achievement there from Daniel Gastak. But just 2 minutes later, the Union takes the lead. Mikael Uru, he scored from Sullivan to give the lead for the Union, and this is where I thought the floodgates had blown open, and this is where we're starting to see kind of the Union of old, where when they score some quick goals, they're going to be a buzzsaw kind of team, and knowing that Montreal already down to 10 men and already struggling, this could get ugly for Montreal. However, in the 63rd minute, it would be 10v10 soccer as Jack Elliott would get himself a straight red here after a studs up challenge there on Edwards, and Montreal wastes no time to take advantage of that because in the 66th minute, rare goal for Samuel Piet. Originally, there was a couple Montreal player that's claiming for a goal. I think Sanusi Ibrahim was claiming that he scored the goal here, but it looks like the goal scoring or the whoever was in charge of the goalkeep well, not the goalkeeping but the scorekeeping gave it to Samuel Piet. So yeah, again a rare goal here for Samuel Piet. He's not a guy that's scored a lot of goals. I think this is only his second career MLS goal, and he's been with Montreal for a very long time. He's pretty much Mr. Montreal, similar to how Jonathan Osorio is Mr. TFC. But in the 73rd minute, Lowe did look to answer, but he missed high there before Lowe would hit one right to Breza as the Union was pressing hard again to get the lead back. And Montreal looked like they were just hanging on in this game. McGlynn then missed wide from long range before Sullivan hits it right to Breza in the fourth minute stoppage time. Bedoya then hits it right to Breza following the corner. Yeah, in the end, despite the fact the Union was chasing to get the 3 points, they failed to do so. They had to settle for a 2-2 draw in this one, and the shots in this one pretty lopsided. 25 shots compared to just 6 that Montreal has. 10 shots on goal for the 3 that Montreal has. So actually was not a bad game for Sebastian Brez. I mean, besides that one mistake that he had, he actually had a pretty decent game in this one. 7 shots off target for the 1 that Montreal has. 1 shot that was blocked for the 6 that the Union has. And possession-wise, 65% possession compared to 35% possession that Montreal has in this game. So yeah, the Union again, their winless run continue, and I've said this before. Montreal has always been a team this season that when you're struggling, they will definitely give you chances to not only get big win, but just lopsided the win. And it looked like for a bit that was going to be the case. But again, that Jack Elliott red card definitely hurt them, and not to mention just conceded right away after that. I mean, that has to hurt for Union fans to see just kind of killed the momentum. And yeah, again, this team need 3 points badly. I mean, it started to slip away from them in terms of them not only staying above the red line, but now potentially dropping below the red line. And if I would have told you Philly, Orlando, and New England all team could miss out on the playoffs at the end of the season, you would not believe that is the case. But that could be a reality with the way that these 3 teams that were supposed to consider to be some of the challenger for the Eastern Conference, all 3 of them is really struggling this season. With that being said, I am now going to switch boards and look at the last 4 games to finish off part 1 of this review of match week number 17. So moving on in the next game, and this is definitely the most surprising result of this week, as the Chicago Fire, for the first time of what seems like a while, they finally got a win this season, and also getting a win against the Galaxy too, because they mentioned it's been 15 years since the Chicago Fire has been able to beat the LA Galaxy. That's probably the longest stretch I've seen a team to not win against an opposition. Though again, both of these teams don't play each other often nowadays as it used to be. But yeah, it's hard to believe it's been 15 years since the Fire got a win against the Galaxy. And early on, it didn't look like that was the case because just 5 minutes in, the penalty was given to the Galaxy as VAR deemed Shiho's handball this one into the box. Ricky Pooch steps up to take the penalty. And while the Galaxy has had a lot of PK woes this season, Ricky Pooch, make no mistake of it, he buries that one. He actually also went to the corner and basically celebrated with the corner flag. Now, obviously, Fire fans were not happy about that, and it makes sense considering the fact that the corner flag literally has the Chicago Fire logo there. And yeah, anytime when you decided to mess with other team property, especially messing with other team property that has a logo on it. The sports god does not like that. I mean, there's a reason why I know no people say it in the NFL. Well, you never want to see players basically just dance on the opposition team midfield logo because obviously the football gods does not like that, and it feels like the soccer gods definitely were not happy about Ricky Pooch decided to use the Fire corner flag as a way of celebration. In fact, Fire fans would basically boo him every time he touched the ball. And honestly, I like to like that kind of thing where sometime in MLS we don't have kind of these moments where it could be an interesting storyline, and also so just as what we'll see, like I said, karma would definitely hit back on Ricky Pooch and this Galaxy team later in this one. But that being said, we then go for a period where not much really happened as the shots were 2-0 for the Galaxy 30 minutes in. But then on the 32nd minute, only the first shot of the game for the Chicago Fire, Hugo Kuipers buries it. So that ties the game up at one apiece, and really just some criminal defending there from the Galaxy. I mean, that ball, it should have never gone through to Kuipers there. There was a couple of Galaxy defenders that could have easily cut that one out. In fact, I think Yoshida actually tried to clear this one, and he just completely whiffs on that one. And as a result, Kuipers got to there. He buries it. That ties the game up at one apiece. Peckwood then puts it wide from close range before Gutierrez puts it high from long range, and he puts it just wide from close. And we do head to halftime with the game tied up at one apiece. In the second half, Haile Selassie missed wide from close before Perez missed wide from the far post. Kuiper would then hit high from close before Pooch would hit one right to Brady, as it was end-to-end stuff. I mean, both of these teams were definitely getting some good chances, at least early in this second half. Suke would hit one right to McCarthy before on the other end, Perez would miss wide from the far post. But then in the 61st minute, Fire would take the lead. It's Brian Gutierrez, and this is a double post and in. A very rare thing that we see where a player hits both sides of the post and it still went into the back net. Pretty sure Sporting KC were wishing that would happen in 2015. But yeah, that of course give the Fire a 2-1 lead. And I'm sorry, Sporting KC fan, you knew that was coming whenever I mention something that is double post related. But in the 63rd minute, Haile Selassie would hit one right to McCarthy, and then Gutierrez would just miss wide from close in the 65th minute, as the Fire was definitely pushing for a third goal. Brady then denied Joveljic, but Aldi actually got a second crack of it, but he hits it right to Brady. And really, as the time winds down, you can see that the Fire, they realize that, yeah, why not we just kill this game off by just completely slowing the pace and just really making this game a very slow fast kind of game, because they know that if you trying to play a high octane game against the Galaxy, it's not gonna go so well for you. And to the credit of the Fire, they did exactly that. They really slowed down the pace, not allowing the Galaxy kind of to set. Though Barlow did have the last chance of the game, but this is Tom Barlow. You know he's not going to put it in, and he didn't. He missed wide from long range. But in the end, the Fire, again, it feels like it's been a while since they have last got a win. In fact, they were actually tied with Sporting KC with the longest winless run, or the longest active winless run right now this season. Well, that has now come to an end at not 9 games, as they win this one, and again their first victory against the Galaxy in 15 years. 12 shots compared to 11 that the Fire has. Both teams had 4 shots on goal, 6 shots off target, but 5 that the Galaxy had. 3 shots that was blocked with the 1 that the Fire has, and possession-wise, 42% possession compared to 58% possession the Galaxy has in this game. Now, it's also important to know that the Galaxy did not play their starters in this one. Obviously, I think Greg Benny thought that this would be a game that they can rest some starters because they're playing against a lowly team in the Eastern Conference. But how many times we have said this before? Just because you play against a lowly team in either your respective conference or in the other conference doesn't mean it's a guaranteed win. And I'm pretty sure Greg Van Eat found this out in a hard way. And yeah, again, this is kind of a resort that it's gonna really kill and hurt the Galaxy chance if they want to finish near the top 4 or even the top 3 in the standings, because in these kind of easy games, and especially against easy opponent, even on the road, they have to get 3 points, and they don't do so. In fact, they didn't get nothing out of this game against the Fire. Now, moving on in terms of the next match. So, speaking of 9-game winless runs, so Sporting KC coming into this game with a 9-game winless run. They're trying to end that against Minnesota, and nope, it didn't go so well. And yeah, I mean, this is also why I'm glad I didn't make that video yet about their 9-game winless run. Though I will definitely be making a video about Sporting KC 10-game winless run after them losing 3-1 in this one. And I also will apologize in advance of who's going to face Sporting KC next, because that means that I probably just jinxed the team. Let's play Sporting KC next, and Sporting KC is going to end that 10-game winless run, just like how Atlanta ended after I made a video talk about Atlanta winless run. Though in the first half, Radoja would miss wide from long range before Castellanos heads it high from the corner. Before Sporting KC started well in this one, and again, that's kind of like the opposite of what we saw in the first meeting. In the first meeting, I thought the Loons were the better side, at least in the first 20 minutes or so. I mean, they found themselves 2-0 up after 30 minutes, but instead, this was a slow start for the Loons, which we have seen a couple of times this season under Eric Ramsey, and this is where I'm kind of concerned, because these last 2 games, the Loons have not played very well, and the midfield has been very disjointed. The same goes to the attack, and it feels like it's kind of spoiled over into this game. The shots were 4-1 for Sporting 20 minutes into this one, though in the 22nd minute, Sun Bin would heads it right to Millie, as that was only the second shot of the game, and really the best look that Minnesota has had up to that point. And really, it's been kind of a cagey kind of start, where there wasn't really much chances that was created by both of these teams. But then in the 33rd minute, only the third shot of the game for Minnesota, they put the ball into the back of net. Guess who? It's Tani again. So Oluwaseyi scoring here from Longwane and Taylor to make it 1-0 in favor of Minnesota. By the way, Tani would also get on the assist chart too, which is kind of a rare thing to do because he's a guy that's more known to score goals rather than being on the primary assist chart. But we do head to halftime with Minnesota leading 1-0 again. They did had a couple of half chances late in the first half, but not really much that trouble Sporting KC. So in the second half, Minnesota definitely continued to push the second and go. And again, this is a big difference between Eric Ramsey's side to Adrian Heath. And Adrian Heath's side would just kind of sit back and hope for the best in the second half. Not Eric Ramsey though. The Loons were pushing to get that second goal. Started with Longwane, hits it right to Milia before Olo Eshayi would hits it high off the deflection. Again, the Loons started the second half positive. They were pushing for the second goal. Tani would then had a shot that was deflected off the line from Davis. But then in the 67th minute, Minnesota would get that second goal. As Robin Lod would get back on the score sheet, he scored from Olo Eshayi and Padel for to make it 2-0 in favor of Minnesota. I also wrote that's a huge relief because again, I was worried that, with all those missed chances that Minnesota was getting, is this kind of one of those games where they're gonna regret of not getting that second goal. They eventually did get it to make it 2-0. And then they try to make it 3-0 as Olo Eshayi would hit it onto the roof of the net. Safe to say that Tani is definitely feeling it in this game. And it's also safe to say that Minnesota was definitely feeling it in this game too. It was all Minnesota in the second half. I mean, you can clearly see Sporting KC, they just mentally check out. They know that 10-game winless run is on the cards. And it was definitely on the cards in the 83rd minute when Carvin Arriaga continued his unexpected goal scoring spree. I mean, it's hard to believe that he's now scored 3 goals so far this season for a guy that is not known to be a goal scorer and also not known to do a Hassani Dotson trademark banger of a goal as well. Though you could also say that probably shouldn't happen if Sporting KC didn't just clear the ball right to Arriaga. There, it was a bad clearance there from Sporting KC, so that made it 3-0 in favor of Minnesota. Johnny Russell did get one back for Sporting KC because, of course, Johnny Russell is going to score against Minnesota. I mean, really, just death, taxes, and Johnny Russell scoring against Minnesota whenever the Loons play against Sporting KC. So he scored here to make it 3-1, and really this is the second consecutive game where the Loons gave up a wonder goal here. We saw it in the middle of the week when Matt Tejas Bogut scored a wonder goal against Minnesota, and here just again a wonder goal there from Johnny Russell. Though I will say that this was a little bit more disappointing considering it came off of a turnover here, and that really kind of spoiled of a clean sheet, which again that hasn't happened a lot so far this season for Minnesota. Russell then puts it wide from close range, and then Rosales would puts it just wide from long range there. But in the end, it's a pretty comfortable win. Often I say that about Minnesota, but they got that in this one, a 3-1 win against Sporting KC. The shots in this one, 13 shots compared to 12 that Sporting KC had. 1 shots on goal compared to 7 that Minnesota has. 2 shots off target compared to 5 that Sporting KC had. Both teams had 5 shots that was blocked, and possession-wise, 51% possession compared to 49% possession that Minnesota has in this game. So, yeah, I expect Minnesota to bounce back in this one. They did exactly that, and at times, especially in the second half, they definitely looked like they were their old self. But again, that obviously is going to happen when you face against a Sporting KC side that they have now gone 10 games without a win. That is now the longest active winless run, and again, definitely make a video about that and how it's just been a disastrous season for Peter Vermeer's side this year. But that being said, moving on into the next one, we got Nashville versus New England, and yeah, for Nashville, man, what a letdown this was. And in fact, as I'll talk about tomorrow, what a letdown it was for what we saw between Nashville and Atlanta after getting wins against the top 2 teams. That it turns out after a couple of games, they kind of got a little too confident and suffered a bit of a letdown. And yeah, this was definitely a letdown against the worst team in the league right now. Now, in the first half, Suric would hit it wide from close before Ismail Beretevich would put it wide from close as the shots were 2-1 for Nashville early. But instead, on the second shot for New England, it's in the back of the net as Carlos Hill would score from Barrero to give New England a 1-0 lead, and really just a vintage Carlos Hill goal. He's a dangerous man when he's giving space from outside the box. Nashville didn't get that memo. They didn't close him down, and Carlos Hill made them pay. So that give New England a 1-0 lead. Ivicic then denied Boyd, but it actually fall right to Mule, and he had a chance to bury it, but instead he only found post before Boyd hits one right to Ivasic, and then Moore would miss wide from close range. And I thought it was a good response for Nashville. They were now pressing to try to get the equalizer. Suric would miss wide from close before Veroni with a rare opportunity for the Revs, but he missed wide from close. And then Suric would also do the same thing just 1 minute later. And we do head to halftime with New England leading 1-0, despite the fact that Nashville had some good luck to try to tie this game up. In the second half, though, just 6 minutes in, New England doubled their lead as Baratevic scored his first career MLS goal. I can't believe Izmir Baratevic only scored his first career MLS goal. I swear he scored another a goal in MLS play. Maybe that was in CCL because I think he did score in the CONCACAF Champions Cup. But here he scored his first career MLS goal for Veroni and Hio to give New England a 2-0 lead. And what a first goal that was from Ismail. I mean, just a lovely goal there from long range that Joe Willis had no chance in terms of saving it. But unfortunately for New England, that 2-goal lead looked like it was immediately in jeopardy because the penalty was given to Nashville after Arriaga handball into box. Now originally Arriaga got a straight red there because it looked like there was a denial of goal score opportunity. That is the reason why it's a red card. And we've seen that happen a couple of times when a player trying to block the ball and it kind of hit his hand. But here it looked like it was not a handball that is deemed a denial goal score opportunity. So in the end, Arriaga of course gets to stay on the pitch. He only gets a yellow card for that. But still, Nashville did have the penalty. They had a chance to get one back. But Ivasic says no. He denied Mukhtar from the spot, and that just kind of sums up Nashville and Mukhtar's season. I mean, it's been a rough season for Nashville and for Hani Mukhtar too. He has just not got to go going. He really has not got it going ever since the Leeds Cup. I mean, and it's a shame too because when we saw what Hani Mukhtar did a couple of years in that MVP season, just kind of carry this Nashville side. I'm pretty sure Nashville fans are desperately hoping they can see that same version of Hani Mukhtar show up any day now. But that being said, the good news for Nashville is that they do get another penalty in the 79th minute, as this time it's their former teammate Romney fought down Zimmerman there in the box. This time Mukhtar has another chance to score for the penalty, and this time he buries it. So yeah, that gives one back for Nashville. It sets up a very interesting finish. Sadic did look to tie it, but he hits it right to Ivasic as Nashville was pressing hard for the equalizer. New England was clearly hanging on up to that point. And then Mukhtar had a shot that was deflected and it struck the post in the second minute of stoppage time. Again, that just kind of sums up the luck for Nashville this season. It also kind of sums up the luck when you have a team that is not doing good. You're not going to get those bounces or at least those posts that go in your way. There was then a shout for another penalty for Nashville that was not giving. It is very rare we see a referee give free penalty to a team, and yeah, the referee was definitely reluctant to give another penalty for Nashville. But yeah, in the end, New England they walk away with the win, and I am happy to say that New England has officially reached the double digit mark. They were the last team to not reach the double digit points total mark, and they finally did it. They're now at 10 points. The bad news though for New England is that I believe they're still dead last in the standings, not only in the East but also in that wooden spoon spot. But hey, this will help their cases to get out of it. As in terms of the stats in this one, Nashville actually had 26 shots in this one compared to 8 that New England has. But only 9 of them was actually on goal because they had 5 shots on goal for the 4 that New England has. Both teams had 4 shots off target. They had 16 shots that was blocked compared to none that New England has. That is just insane. How many shots that was blocked? Somebody tells me those Revs defenders, they definitely earned their paycheck and need an ice bath after this game with how many blocked shots there was in this one. But the possession wise, 57% possession compared to 43% possession that New England has in this game. And yeah, for the Revs, again, it will be interesting to see whether or not if Caleb Porter will stay for another week. I mean, just because they got a win doesn't mean Caleb Porter's job is secure. I mean, Gary Smith did get fired after he got a win for Nashville. So again, we'll see whether that is the case. Although I will say that at least this New England team, it doesn't seem like they have quit just yet. I mean, I know we have heard about all the bad things that's gone on behind the scenes, but on the field, they're still playing hard in this one, and maybe that's kind of the reason why this New England front office are not really pulled the trigger yet to fire Caleb Porter because while off the field the situation it's not great, on the field they're playing hard and they're getting resort like this, I mean, there's really no need to think about firing Caleb Porter anytime soon. But for Nashville, like I said, what a big letdown this was. I mean, they got a huge win in Cincinnati. It looked like things were going to turn around, especially with the new interim head coach, and then they did this, and this is going to be definitely a bit of a setback heading into the next game as well. Now, moving on into the last game that we're going to review in part one is RSL versus Austin. And yeah, it's not very often I say an MLS game was really men's against boys, but yeah, this really was men against boys. Especially after what we saw in the first half. I mean, it's also not often I say that this game is basically over after 45 minutes, and it was because RSL, my oh my, there's a reason why they're at the top of the Western Conference, and there's also a reason why they might now be sneaking into the conversation of maybe competing for Supporter Shield. Because don't look now, but RSL is really sneaking into that Supporter Shield conversation. I think they're only 2 points back of Miami in terms of the Supporter Shield conversation. I would just imagine in that first game of the season against Inter Miami, RSL actually put away those chances and actually spoil Miami in their season opener. It would be at the top of the Supporter Shield standing right now. But that being said, in the first half, the first shot of the game did see Stuver deny Luna from close range. I gotta feel bad for Brad Stuver in this game. I mean, I know this season there's been time and time he's been bailed out this back line, and he did it a couple of time in this one. In fact, I would say that the 5-1 scoreline could have been more ugly if it wasn't for Stuver making some big save. But here he just got completely hung out to dry by a Austin defense that pretty much didn't show up whatsoever in this game. But again, RSL had all the possession, but the shots were 1-0 for RSL up to that point, 15 minutes in, and only on the second shot of the game, RSL takes the lead. It's Chicho who else gets the lead there, and Chicho is red hot right now and is just not human right now when he can basically chip the goalkeeper from about 67.5 yards out and puts it into the back net. Now, as much as I know, I have heard people say that that's a contention for goal of the year, and it's a great goal. I mean, I have seen some amazing goal that's been scored, and it's very easy for some people to say that when a player scored from like the halfway line, it can be easily considered to be goal of the year. But still, I will say that it was an amazing goal, and that again, it just shows you how red hot it is. Chicho Arango is, and he continued to give LAFC nightmare, especially John Thornton nightmare of letting them go. And that, yeah, imagine if Chicho Arango was still with LAFC right now. And I know LAFC is doing very well right now this season, especially recent form. But imagine if they still had Chicho Arango. I mean, they would be head and shoulder right now. Now the best team in the league. But that being said, in the 24th minute, it would be 2-0 in favor of RSL as Julio would score from a Ojeda to make it 2-0. Stuver would then deny Orongo from close range after just a bad turnover there. Not from RSL, actually. It's actually from us. Then that is. Obviously, RSL didn't turn the ball over and create chances. That would have been amazing to see. Julio then had a shot that was clear off the line by Gallagher. Again, this could have been more uglier than the scoreline would say because RSL actually had a couple of chances that could have been that they could have been easily like 4-0 up right now up to this point. That being said, they would be 3-0 up in the 31st minute as Anderson Julio would score from Gomez and Arango to make it 3-0. Originally, the goal was disallowed for offside. They look at it to see whether or not if that's not the case. It wasn't. So, yeah, just like that, it was 3-0 in favor of RSL. This could get really ugly for Austin because RSL was definitely feeling it, and not to mention the defense for Los Verdes pretty much non-existent whatsoever in this game. In the first man stoppage time, Rongo would puts it wide from close range before Stuver denied Julio in the near post. But then the fifth man stoppage time, Chico would strike again. He scored here from Brody to give RSL a 4-0 lead, and that would be the scoreline heading into the second half. And this is where I didn't really pay too much attention to this game after that because everybody knew that this game was all over with the way that RSL just completely destroyed Austin in this one. Now, in the second half, Stuver would deny Vera in the near post before Rubio actually had the first shot for Austin up to this point. So, not only the fact that Austin was getting completely blown apart, but they actually registered no shots for the first 45 minutes, which kind of feels like it's on par considering this is a team that is allergic to shooting at times on the road this season. But Rubio did have the first chance, but His shot goes high there for Austin before Valencia would head it wide from close. Austin finally started to get a foothold into this game, but I think that's part due to the fact that RSL has kind of took their foot off the gas, knowing that they're 4-0 up. Though that being said, Obrian did put the ball into the back of net. It looked like it was 4-1 in favor of Austin, but in a twist of fate, VAR says that was actually a handball that was and this counterattack all started from a defensive corner that Austin had to defend, and it was deemed that hindsight basically handballed this one in the box. So yeah, like I said, in the twist of fate, instead of being 4-1, it was a penalty to RSL. That's just kind of how the night gone for Austin in this game. But in the 71st minute, Chichoranko steps up to take the penalty, scored the hat trick, and he buries it. And I have a feeling there's going to be some competition for that player of the week. I would say that, I'll still give it to Alonso Martinez. I mean, I know Chichorango is the bigger name, and I won't be surprised he might get it. And I know he also scored that amazing goal to kick off the hat trick, but I still think the Alonso Martinez one is more impressive and a rarity too, because you do not usually see a guy coming off the bench and literally score his first of three goals that he would score in the 85th minute and basically complete that in a span of nine minutes. It is very rare we see a hat trick complete in less than 10 minutes, and yeah, again, we'll see who is going to win the Player of the Week. In terms of the names wise, I think it's probably Chichurango, but I would also love Alonso Martinez does, because what he did is, you could even argue it's even more impressive than what Arango has, especially with the way that Arango finished a hat trick from from the penalty spot. Which again, anytime when you score a hat trick from the penalty spot, I mean that's not as impressive as what you would do to finish off the hat trick, especially what Alonso Martinez did on Friday. But that being said, speaking of penalty, penalty was given to Austin. Yeah, again, there wasn't really too much notes I wrote because, again, this game is over. I mean, it's 5-0 up to this point. But a penalty was given to Austin after Oviedo brought down Wolf in the box. So Alex Ring had his chance to break the shutout, and he does. So yeah, that made it 5-1 in this one, and that would be the final scoreline in this one. Just absolute pure domination for RSL in this game. The shots in this one, 21 shots compared to 10 that Austin had, 4 shots on goal compared to 11 that RSL had, 6 shots off target compared to 3 that Austin had, 2 shots that was blocked compared to 5 that RSL had, and possession-wise, 60% possession compared to 40% possession that Austin has. And all of a sudden, it feels like Austin is starting to come back down. Remember a couple of weeks ago when Austin was as high as third place, and we thought that this was maybe a second coming of their second season, where they were relying on a lot of black magic and kind of resilient play to get themselves finished pretty high in the standings. Yeah, looks like reality is starting to hit them, because they have now gone 3 games without a win, and in any of these games that they have played lately, they have not looked impressive whatsoever. They look like Austin is back to where they were in the beginning of the season, where yeah, the beginning of the season was very grim for this Austin team, and really make my prediction look like it was going to be a genius with the way that they were going to be stuck at the bottom the Western Conference. But there you have it. That is pretty much it for the review for all of these games. As always, let me know in the comments below what do you think of this review. And yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you do, make sure you guys do like, smash the subscribe button. And yeah, I of course will see you guys next time.